What's up, you guys? Welcome. I'm going to be talking about all of my thoughts so far on the semi-new, kinda not new anymore, release, Princess Peach Showtime. So, join the party chat. As you can see, I am clearly dressed for the occasion. I think this one was long overdue. As far as I know, it's been a while since Princess Peach has had a game of her own, and so whenever I saw the first trailer that was for this game, mind you, I only watched one because I didn't want to be spoiled on the game, but I was like, finally. Honestly, the excitement was there. Because the last one I played was like 2D ROM of like this game where she was having her own adventure. Honestly, it was so long ago, I don't even remember what that game was called. I think Super Princess Peach. But irregardless, it was about time that Peach got a spotlight session of her own. And that's what Princess Peach Showtime is all about. She's literally in the spotlight. She's literally in the theater. So let's get into the story of the game. Excuse my recollection because it has been, I think, about a month or so since I first played this game. So, the game starts out with Princess Peach on her way to go see a show at this theater. She's with a few toads, and they're super excited and everything, but then all of a sudden, things take a turn for the worse when the show gets taken over by evil, show-stealing things. Honestly, it's not super clear at the very beginning what those are called. At least I just definitely don't remember what exactly they're called. We just know that they are the bad guys and they just took over the theater. So Princess Peach, being the valiant princess that she is, decides she is going to possibly try and do something with the help of a sparkler. And Sparkla is pretty much your companion during this. She's also the one who gives Princess Peach her powers. So there's that. Is my camera glitching? So without further ado, Princess Peach rushes in to go and try and save the other Sparklas that got lost in the mix. I assume also she wants to save the toads, but that's just not a plot point that's really been highlighted. I'm full stop. I have not beat the game yet. So everything I'm saying, there's no way I can spoil the way this game ends or like the deeper plot of the story because I have not hit any deep plot in this story, nor have I beat the game, so I don't know how it ends. Therefore, I cannot spoil it because I also have not even read how it ends. Basically, what Princess Peach has to do is go into each play and get the plays back on track because the plays have been taken over by the bad guys, which is kind of odd because the actual plays themselves, they're like, how to say, they still seem like fully done plays. There has to be bad guys in every play, right? So who would have been the bad guys in these plays if the bad guys didn't come in and take them over? Surely there was some kind of story or plot point to these plays, other than just someone comes in and saves the day. What day is there to save if there are no bad guys? So part of me feels like this is all like tying together as one big thing, and really like it's all the play, but it's just like interactive or something. I don't know. Anyways, so with the help of the Sparkla, Princess Peach, she is able to pretty much use her little sparkle powers to get people out of a dark space. And that same power allows her to transform into the different roles needed to participate in these plays and get the plays back on track. However, the plays mostly consist of Princess Peach just literally being the hero in these plays, so it's not totally clear what these plays would have been otherwise. All we know is we're coming in and we're playing the role that is not filled because the people who are supposed to play those roles, something happened to them. So it starts out with the sword fighter, and the sword fighter is like, self-explanatory, quite literally a sword fighter. There's a variety of different roles Peach goes into where she has different abilities, and the way the gameplay is on the stage totally differs depending on which role she's playing at the time. So, for example, sword fighter Peach, you literally fight with a sword and you can dodge the attacks, be all like badass with it. There's cowgirl Peach, and she can lasso and throw people, but it varies very differently when we go to patisserie, or basically Chef Peach, Baker Peach. Playing that stage, you're literally baking things. There's no combat. There's conflict, but no combat, if that makes sense. You're literally just baking. So it definitely varies. It's almost like a bunch of like mini games wrapped up into one game, but the thing is, they don't feel like mini games. They feel like their own thing. It's almost like you could have just made a whole game of her being one of them and did that continuously through a bunch of stages, but they mix it up instead, and she has all these different powers. So one of my personal favorites, I think, would be probably the one where we ice skate, at least so far. I also really like Detective Peach, which again, there's no combat there. You're literally just trying to solve a mystery, which I like the way that they diversified things. Hold up, I'm getting way too far out of track from the story. So basically, the main villain, it's not really clear why she decided to take over the theater. Everybody wants to be a star. Who am I to judge? Here I am on YouTube making videos, but it's not super clear why anyone is doing anything. It's not clear, it's like, what's the actual issue, because these are still plays going. But we still want to find who all was kidnapped, and of course also the toads, the other sparklers. So it's like, there's a plot, but not really. It's very vague. So it's just to get this other stuff moving, there's a plot, but there's not a big story to this game. Just being frank here. Now let's talk about the gameplay. So I already touched on the fact there are a bunch of different abilities that Peach can do, and for each ability, it's very different gameplay depending on what you are being. I'll be sure to insert clips of different abilities that she has throughout this video. So, the gameplay. One thing that really stood out to me was the fact that there's not that much of an explanation as to how to use some of the abilities effectively on the stages. It really varies. On some stages, they tell you what to do, some they don't, and you just figure it out. And it adds a nice little bit of a challenge to the game, having to figure it out yourself. I think the main thing that really helps this game, because it's not very difficult. It's really not very difficult. But I think the collection of the sparkles, which is like collecting stars in Mario, I think the collection of those is what makes it a little more fun for someone older, such as myself, or I'm sure there are tons of older people who just want to play the game because it's a Peach game. But you can definitely see that it's catering to children who may not be great at video games. That's just clear. But this is Nintendo we're talking about. Nothing surprising there. The main thing I found difficult is certain sparkles that's just out of the way, or a little bit challenging to get. That's where the challenge comes in for me. Other than that, it's really not a challenging game at all. It's something you can very casually play. It's low stakes. It ain't that deep. It's it's clearly made for children. Let's just call it what it is there. On top of the gameplay being pretty easy, I think the thing that makes it good is that there are certain things that are a little more difficult. There's a thing where as a sword fighter you have to go and continuously fight without getting damaged. Actually challenging. So they do add some things that are clearly there for people who need a little bit more of a challenge, or who want a little bit more of a challenge. On top of that, the boss fights, they're pretty self-explanatory. I think with a lot of games, if you do a certain thing 3 times, then the fight is over. And that's like very much the case in this game as well. So the bosses aren't really too challenging once you know what the gimmick is. I think the main challenging boss that I had an issue with was actually one where I just could not figure out the mechanic for the life of me, and it wasn't even an actual boss fight, it was just a boss at the end of one of the stages. Sad, I know, because this is a kid's game, but I never claimed to be a master gamer. I'm just not a child. Anyways, so there's that. There's also other fun features that just make it enjoyable and very girly. You can put Peach in different dresses, you earn different dresses as the game progresses. Hey, that was nice. And you also can dress up your Sparkla and make that look different as well, which is nice. It's just something a little bit different. I do enjoy the fact that Peach has a ponytail in this game because honestly, if her hair was like this, I'm not really sure how the motion would work on that. So I see where their thinking was there. Other than that, I think the gameplay in and of itself is pretty fun. Honestly, for me, I do tend to get tired of the same thing over and over again. I do prefer the variety. So for me, it's actually pretty nice that every stage is not the same thing. Like, every stage is something at least a little bit different. That's nice for me because I have a shorter attention span. Sometimes when it comes to games, I'll get bored pretty easily if I'm continuously doing the same thing. Like farming, hey, I can do it, but I might be very bored, especially if I'm not listening to music at the same time or watching YouTube or listening to like commentary or podcast or whatever. I get bored. I'm not a farmer. I'm not a grinder. I like to do those things if there's something else to it other than just the same repeat thing over and over. So whenever games don't have that aspect of being extremely repetitive, I always can appreciate that as the type of gamer that I am. One thing that is pretty weird to me is the fact that Princess Peach has so many actually voiced lines. So like she has like a definitive voice. I don't know if you guys watched the Mario movie, but I was pretty upset in the Mario movie when Princess Peach didn't sound like Princess Peach. But now that Princess Peach is actually speaking in this game, it highlights even more how much that Peach did not sound like Princess Peach. The game came out after the fact, but still Princess Peach had a voice beforehand. But now she has so many voice lines to refer back to, so hopefully there's some improvement there if there's ever another Mario Bros. Movie. That's aside from the point though. She has a lot of voice lines, which I was kind of surprised by. I still get surprised by it every time she says something new. Because I'm like, since when do y'all talk? But I'm not mad at it. I'm not mad at it. I'm just literally hoping that Mario doesn't go the Breath of the Wild route and suddenly voice all of the characters. I'd be really upset if that happened, to be honest. I didn't really like that change in Breath of the Wild. A whole nother game, but I'm just saying when silent characters or characters you normally can attribute your own voice to start talking weird. Because most Zelda games, girl, this is not a video about Zelda. Alright, back to Princess Peach. I do find it a little off-putting sometimes when she speaks, but it's not like a huge thing, it's just like it's a little awkward. Anyway, other than that, no big issue with the speaking, just like, why did she need to speak? I just hope they're not like pre-programming us for voiced Mario game, because I would not like that. If I were to rate it, I think I'd probably do a 7 out of 10. Honestly, just based on everything I said here, the game looks really good. The gameplay is nice and enjoyable, but it is very simple, and I think that takes off a couple of points for me. Also, the fact that the story is so low stakes and not well-rounded or anything, that also takes off a point or two, so I would give it a 7 out of 10. If you're looking to play a very low-stakes game that you can just mindlessly play, but also, like, easily be a completionist with, just so that you feel good about yourself, finally 100% of the game, I think this is the game for you. Now, if you're looking for something more challenging that'll fill up more of your time, then this probably is not the game for you, because this is not a challenging game by any means. It has its challenges, but it's not challenging. It's just fun. If you just want fun, single player fun, Peach is your girl. I am very happy though that Peach is getting some of her own shine. I really feel like she deserves it. She is one of my favorite characters in the Mario universe. That's why I was upset about her voice actress, because I'm like, are you kidding me? Because I just love Peach for what she is. And I guess I could say it would have been kind of cool too if she had her own ability as well and she wasn't solely dependent on the Sparkla to do anything or to have ability. That would have been nice, because when I think of Peach off of Super Smash Bros. The most. And I'm a Peach main, so you can already fight. But I'm here. She's just being in the play. But I do think it works very well. It's also pretty cute, the actual little stories that go on in each stage. I actually find them to be pretty adorable and enjoyable for me. Like, it brings out the kid in you, which is always nice because you become an adult and sometimes the kid inside just starts slowly dying. So it's nice to have a little joy from a simple game where it's like you don't have to try too hard. Actually, you know what? I did semi-rage quit. I was not in rage, but I did quit out of frustration because I was making these cakes and the little guys, they were coming to eat them, and for some reason, even though I didn't hold down the A button all the way yet, the cake was still done. The cake was made, but I died. So I did rage quit, so to speak, but not really. All in all, I highly recommend at least giving the game a little bit of a chance, because even if it's not necessarily your style, you still might find some kind of enjoyment from it, or it might just be something simple to pick up in between the more strenuous games that really can stress you out. It's a good game to take a break with from whatever you might need to take a break from. And honestly, I think that's all I have to say. As I finish the game, or if I finish the game, because sometimes I just drop games and just don't come back to them, but if I finish the game, I will probably do an updated video letting my thoughts on the game as a whole come through, because there's the first impressions, which is technically what these are, because they're only your first impressions until they're not, and you actually have a full impression. I don't have a full impression, so once I do have a full impression, I might come back and do another video on this game. My opinion could totally change. The ending could shock me. The story could get really good. Doubt that part, but it could. So, thank you all for joining me, and hopefully I will see you in the next party chat. I feel like I'm forgetting something, but hopefully not. Peace out, guys.